Okay, council, it is 7 o'clock PM, on August the 7th, 2024. I call this meeting to order. Would everyone please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which stands one nation, indivisible, with liberty. Okay, up next, we have roll call. Ms. Martinez?
All counselors present and a quorum has been declared. Counselor Dominguez will be present via Zoom tonight.
Okay, thank you. That brings us to the next item on the agenda approval. Counselor Yon.
Mayor, I move that we approve the agenda as presented, allowing Mr. Dominguez on Zoom.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? If not, please start voting. Ms. Martinez?
Counselor Dominguez? The motion carried
Yes.
unanimously.
Okay, thank you. That brings us to the next item on the agenda, citizen comments. This is the segment of the agenda to where we have citizens who are present and also those who are on Zoom. You get an opportunity to make comments. We do time my comments. We have a 3-minute limit, and we have the clock right there. If you're still speaking at the 3-minute mark, I will politely ask you to end your comments at that particular time. I have one comment card tonight. Looks like Jeremy. Okay, if you can go up into the mic.
Thank you.
Welcome.
I'm here again to discuss the same thing, police misconduct. I feel a little abused by the community by such. I did have a opportunity to speak to Dinchfelder that I said last time I was nervous would not be so willing to give me the benefit of doubt. Might have started appreciating the lies that have been told in this community repetitively and consistently, which does show a pattern of misconduct. I have a cassette that I've purchased that is the lapel camera. Sergeant Kinshu, which was described to Dinchfelder, has required that I go to the Boys and Girls Club of America to receive information concerning some abuse that has been hidden. Now, this abuse has been mentioned in the media outside of Colorado, and it's a proven fact that this person was in this community. Lola Garcia proceeds to tell Sergeant Kinshu that this individual never was in this community, which is false. So I don't like when people lie to officers. She claims she was speaking to Detective Mestes. Dinchfelder says I have a fixation with Mestes, and I apologize if I didn't get his name right. I don't believe it's a fixation, and I don't believe I'm only talking about Mestes here. Again, Sergeant Kinshu required that I myself go talk to the Boys and Girls Club concerning abuse in this community. So I did. I dialed 911 prior. That's why I have a lapel camera to purchase to talk about these things. Now, maybe that's also engineering? Could be. I don't know. I just passed a CompTIA SY 0601 thing for cybersecurity, Security Plus, and I've also have 2 certificates in hardware. So I don't think I'm incompetent. I think that I've been judged as incompetent in New Mexico unfairly. And, you know, the last time I spoke with you, I was a little jittery because it's public speaking and it's not easy. And I'm trying to make a point here. I'm not incompetent. I believe this incompetency comes from people trying to distort the truth and lie, cover and conceal. And I think there's a consistent pattern by not just Maestas, but other officers too. So to say that I'm only fixating on Maestas is not fair. And I don't believe in Jesus Christ anymore. I was considering being agnostic, but seeing that Jesus is used for the name of like just accomplishing whatever you choose, yeesh, Yeshua, whoa. It's like always the same with you guys, Yahweh. That's not true, nor is your Jesus, since that's where you came from, Monte Vista, and you guys asked Jesus to always guide you. I hope he's not going to guide you in your decision-making here in Alamosa, because that's not fair. Atheists have rights also, and God should not be your guidance. I have other things I'm asking you to consider. This person, I don't think is honest. And if he wants to say he does things in Jesus' name, congratulations. So does Michael Dominguez, speaking in tongues and interpretation. Not true.
Thank you. Okay, that was the only comment card I have. So we'll go to Zoom.
If you want to speak for public comment, you'll use the raise your hand feature in the bottom of your screen. If you're on a telephone, you'll dial *9. I don't see anyone raising their hand, Mayor.
Okay, since we don't have any hands raised, we'll go ahead and close this segment and I'll turn it back over to staff and our legal counsel, just in case they have any follow-up.
Mayor, we do not have any follow-up.
Okay, that brings us to the next item on the agenda, ceremonial items, a proclamation of Overdose Awareness Month. Here at City Council, we share in reading the proclamations, and tonight the proclamation is going to be read by Councilor Krebs. Do we have anyone in the audience who's here on behalf of the Overdose Awareness Month? If so, feel free to come up to the podium and we'll present this to you shortly. Okay, I don't see anyone, but Councilor Krebs, if you don't mind reading the proclamation,
Thank you, Mayor.
you're welcome.
This proclamation proudly designates the month of August as Overdose Awareness Month in the city of Alamosa, Colorado, lying in the heart of the San Luis Valley, Colorado. Whereas the San Luis Valley communities understand the profound connection between raising awareness about overdose prevention and the holistic well-being of our unique region. And whereas the impact of substance misuse resonates deeply within our close-knit families and neighborhoods, affecting lives from Alamosa to Crestone and from Saguache to Monte Vista. And whereas the San Luis Valley Behavioral Health Group, in partnership with our dedicated municipality, stands committed to providing crucial services and unwavering support to aid in the recovery of individuals courageously confronting substance-related challenges. And whereas we recognize and honor the remarkable individuals within our valley who have triumphed over substance misuse, weaving their stories into the vibrant tapestry of our society. And whereas the San Luis Valley, with its awe-inspiring landscapes and resilient communities, embraces the responsibility to address the pervasive effects of substance misuse that touch the lives of both adults and our next generation each year. And whereas acknowledging that only a fraction of those facing severe substance-related issues seek the necessary care and assistance, we strive to bridge the gap by fostering a culture of compassion and understanding. And whereas we acknowledge that the shadows of stigma and fear too often cast doubt upon the brave souls who would seek the support they deserve, and we endeavor to dispel this darkness with empathy and acceptance. And whereas our local communities have witnessed the transformative power of personal interactions with individuals who have emerged victorious from the battle against substance misuse, thus playing a pivotal role in dismantling misconceptions and biases. And whereas we understand that nurturing robust mental and emotional well-being is not only integral to our families and neighborhoods, but also vital for the flourishing of our esteemed educational institutions and thriving businesses. And whereas the San Luis Valley, in collaboration with our dedicated partnering municipality, is resolute in enhancing public consciousness surrounding substance misuse, embarking on a collective journey to reshape attitudes and behaviors, and advocating vigorously for accessible, effective services for every individual walking the path of recovery. Now, therefore, the Alamosa City Council and Ty Coleman, Mayor of the City of Alamosa, Colorado of the San Luis Valley, do hereby proclaim and declare August 2024 as Overdose Awareness Month. As a City Council and Mayor, we urge each and every residence, government entity, public and private establishment, business and school within the expansive base of the San Luis Valley to unite in reaffirming our steadfast commitment to elevate awareness and understanding on substance misuse challenges, to erode the foundation of stigma and prejudice, and to endlessly champion appropriate and easily accessible services for all those traversing the intricate road to recovery.
Thank
you.
you, Counselor Cribb. Thank you. So since we don't have anyone here to take a picture with, we're not gonna go down on the podium, okay, everybody? All righty. So the next item on the agenda is consent calendar A. Counselor Yanvihill.
Mayor, I move that we approve consent calendar A.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussions? If not, please start voting. Ms. Martinez?
Counselor Dominguez,
Yes.
the motion carried unanimously.
Okay, thank you. That brings us to the next item on the agenda, presentation from an outside agency, the Bicycle Coalition update. If you can come up to the podium.
And Mayor, as they come up, we did title this incorrectly, so they will share what their name is. Sorry for the confusion.
Okay,
All right. Well, I'll get us going. Hello, my name is Annie Altwarg, and I am the Active Transportation Coordinator at San Luis Valley Great Outdoors. And up here, we have some representatives of the Alamosa Bicycle Working Group. And so we'll go down the line and, everyone can introduce themselves and if they're involved in an organization, their roles.
My name is Ian Blendon. I am the Executive Director of the Alamosa Bicycle Coalition.
and if we can have you speak into the mic so the audience could hear.
My name is Ian Blendon. I am the Executive Director of the Alamosa Bicycle Coalition.
Okay,
Marty Jones. I host a podcast for the Outdoor Citizen, and we've covered bicycling on part of that podcast.
Richard Hubler, Land Use Administrator for Alamosa County. Sean Slater, City of Alamosa Parks and Recreation, Outdoor Recreation Supervisor and Grants Coordinator.
And then in addition, we have Aaron Miltenberger with the San Luis Valley Boys and Girls Club. We have Beata with the City of Alamosa and the Planning Department. Say anything? We have Kenny from the Alamosa Bicycle Coalition, Brian Pucciarella as well as from San Luis Valley Great Outdoors. So there's about 10 of us. So the purpose of the group, we're here to advocate to make it safer, easier, and more accessible to bike, roll, or wheel in the San Luis Valley across all communities and specifically within the Alamosa region for this group. We're looking to raise the public awareness, that our roads can be designed for multiple road users, and we should put that into consideration. And also that people can advocate to have the choice, and legitimate choice to choose their mode of transportation that's going to keep them safe from point A to point B, whether that's for recreation, for daily destinations such as going to the grocery store, going to work, to your healthcare appointments. And we want to work with you and our other local governments to build this infrastructure. And that it supports people of how they get around, and that we can provide you the input that we're hearing from our community members. So how the group started, I think a lot of factors happen simultaneously. San Luis Valley Great Outdoors, we're a nonprofit that works across the region. However, in Alamosa, we've partnered with you all in the Generation Wild programming, getting kids out on bikes, building public trails on public land with mountain bike, working with our health and wellness with the City of Alamosa, doing weekly bike rides and walks. Can pass it over to Ian about the Alamosa Bicycle Coalition and what they've done as well.
We have been doing a lot of bike rodeos with kids, as well as our individual programming is more focused on getting individuals bicycles who require them for a method of transportation to work, et cetera. However, on top of that, like she was saying, we get to do bike rodeos with kids where we get a whole bunch of children from either we've done ones with Adelante, with Boys and Girls Club, with the Farm Park, and a bunch of kids get together and we get to teach them how to ride bikes, and it's a fun thing, and it's a community building and skill building for them, and it's a fun environment for everybody involved. And then behind the scenes, we are taking in bike donations and repurposing them and giving them to individuals referred to us. And then having mechanics courses and providing places where individuals can come and work on their bikes and use our tools. And we can educate them in how to use the stuff they might not know how to use, and give and facilitate them learning how to work on their own bikes. And yeah, that's what we've been working on.
And then Sean, you want to talk about the project?
Yeah, so the city has had some awesome projects obviously moving forward, pairing with our Trails Initiative to connect the riparian park down to the refuge. This just adds to the opportunity to spread awareness of getting people safely to and from our trail network and continuing throughout the community.
And so collectively, we realize multiple organizations, even more than we just named, are working on these efforts simultaneously. And we thought, we should really sit down and collaborate of how we can move forward on these mutual goals. And so for our first meeting in January of 2024, we decided, the best way we can move forward is to keep meeting and to keep collaborating and to share these projects as one group, pulling from multiple agencies as well as community members that we have in our group. So just sharing some current projects that we have going. We've developed some maps that show what our current inventory is. Where are our bike lanes? Where are our protected bike lanes? Our bike parking? What condition, do we have our bike parking in? And then in addition to that, we've layered maps on top of that of, what are some really quick fixes that wouldn't take too much coordination, such as like repainting a bike lane that already exists, but the line is faded, just working on that, as well as moving up the scale of, what would take more coordination and what could our bigger requests be for the city, for the county, or for other local governments that we can work together with and provide that community input and that work to complete these projects. We're also working on public engagement strategies, working to build awareness about our group, the projects that we're doing, and really hearing the experiences that people are having within our city. What their experience is biking, rolling, or walking. How do they feel? Do they feel safe? Do they choose not to do it because they don't feel safe? And hearing as many stories as possible. We've done 2 community traffic studies. Does anyone want to talk about that? I can also.
I can talk about that.
Yeah, that'd be great, Marty.
So we had some great bicycle rides early in the morning to go from City Hall here out to City Market and timing it to see how long it takes, what is a good route and so on. And then we had another ride that went from Boyd Park to Safeway. And the reason that those markets were chosen is because that's a common destination for people. Everybody needs food. And so several riders just took different routes to see roughly how safe it was and how much time it would take to get there.
Yeah, and what we found was that it took about the same amount of time to drive there than to bike there. Relatively, it wasn't too far off. We had a range of times. Everyone took a different mode and we timed ourselves. And then we invited the community as well. So allowing people to, think twice before, maybe I'm going to the market, but I only have a couple things I can maybe walk or ride, and just instilling that sense of choice and that safe choice. Let's see. We also have a couple events coming up that we're hoping to invite you to. We're doing an AARP bicycle audit. And so that assesses a location's safety and bikeability for cyclists and other users. So our goals for that is we want to identify improvement and create more comfortable and accessible, welcoming environments. And through this event, we're hoping to bring all of you, your police department, public works, planning departments, the county folks, our community members, our businesses, our schools, all to like a 1-2 hour gathering where we work, at a select route, street by street or intersection by intersection, and we all examine and analyze it together to understand, what could we do differently in the future? If we have a plan for this street, how can we alter it and really work together on it? Let's see. I want to bring up their current bicycle infrastructure in Alamosa. So People for Bikes City Rating Program. This is a nationwide program where People for Bikes, which is the national trade organization for the bicycle industry, they rank cities across the country. And out of a score of 100, the city of Alamosa ranked a score of 13. And so our goal is to obviously improve that number and to improve that score. In Colorado, we were ranked number 75 for all cities. They ranked about 2,000 cities, I believe, and we ranked about 1738. So we're towards the end. And so that's just showing, there is room for improvement. We do want to work with you. We want to hear as much as we can from our community members as well. Did you all receive this map? Does it look familiar? We can make sure you receive it afterwards, but
I sent it to you guys in your email.
perfect. So we have a current kind of inventory map that we also wanted to point out. And in here, we have all of the kind of lines pointed out of, what are some gaps in our bike lanes that if we connected them would increase connectivity significantly, whether that's east to west in the city of Alamosa or north to south. We have our, what are our bike lanes right now? Most of them are unprotected, working towards, maybe we can improve that in the future and continue working together, as well as some of the upcoming projects. About 20 seconds left. We're good, guys?
We have lots of riders in the city, so
Yes.
this is an important consideration.
So, Mayor, I just want to take an opportunity from a staff perspective. I think sometimes there's so much going on, we forget that we are still a small community and staff gets pulled in a lot of different directions. And this to me is an amazing example of us not having the full capacity internally to really do justice by a bicycling perspective, and then having the community come together with the experts to help us move the needle in the right direction. And I just want to say thank you, because the lack of action isn't because we don't care. It's just sometimes we're getting pulled in a lot of different directions, and your help is helping us get it going forward. And so I just want to say that there is so much going on, but we're still just below 10,000 from a community. And it's this kind of stuff that really, I don't know, it makes me like the job I do and the community coming together. So I just wanted to share that.
Thank you, Ms. Sanchez. Thank you. Okay, so I'll open it up for mics. See, I'm gonna go, let me start right here with her first. Counselor Krebs, then Counselor Hensley, I saw yours blinking, then Counselor Young-Vio, okay?
Thank you, Mayor.
You're welcome.
I just want to thank this group for all the work that they've done to put into this. My only question is, do you have a timeline of when you'll have 2 or 3 priorities that you can bring forward that the city can help with?
Let me jump in and then you add or correct. I think it's a very fluid process, and I think as she kind of referenced, there might be some low hanging fruit that just working with staff, we can get taken care of type of thing. And then it's a matter of kind of trying to prioritize what's going to be more expensive and those things. And then some might require some of that public buy-in, especially when you get into some of the more expensive stuff, to be able to explain why you spend this much more on a street and the benefits and that kind of stuff. So it's kind of this fluid thing of let's look at the lowest hanging fruit, and then do that prioritization. And then if you set that aside, then there's this whole public engagement going on at the same time, which is just as valuable as the infrastructure side. But correct me if I'm wrong or if I misstated something.
I think that was perfect. Yeah, absolutely. Yep, so we're working with staff and we're so thankful to have the staff, be a part of this process too.
Awesome, thank you.
Okay, Counselor Hensley and then Counselor Young-Vio.
So ironically, I just came back last night from Northern California to visit family, and I was actually so impressed with the different towns and cities and how they have things set up for bikes and the bright green. And I mean, there's just some incredible stuff. So it's ironic that I just got back and then you guys would talk about it today. One of the things that really hits home, I think, thank you so much for the data. I think that really shows, sometimes you're like, yeah, we need to work on it, but to hear it like that, for me has definitely, I'm like, this needs to become more of a priority. So thanks for sharing that. And thanks for all of your passion and sharing that.
Counselor Young-Vio.
Thank you, Mayor. again, like what my previous counselor said, thank you for all the work you do for bikes and biking in Alamosa. Is Grantley not involved with the group anymore?
So, let's see. Grant.
If you don't mind me asking.
Oh, no, of course. Grantley went to grad school and I got an opportunity to work for about a month under his shadow, learning the ins and outs of the Bike Coalition. And I have since transitioned into being the new executive director. There is also Kenny Ayers, who is not with us this evening, is also working as my, our program manager and shop manager. So it's Grantley kind of divided into two people, if you will, and
Oh.
we're both trying to fill his shoes now.
Well, thank you for that, and that is something I'd like for us to get better at, is improving our bike system and infrastructure, and the data is huge, like Ms. Hensley said, and small goals that we can go and get done is how we can get this thing going better, so we can improve our standing. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Counselor
Yeah,
Yanavi Hill.
actually, that, she did just bring up something interesting. I'll be brief. We did get money from New Belgium Brewing Company in, Fort Collins to, install more bicycle repair stations around Alamosa. So we'll be working on places to put those.
Okay, thank you, and I'll wrap things up. It's good to know where we stand. Unfortunately, we're way down at the bottom, like 13 and 17. I don't like being at the bottom. But it's okay, it's good. It's good to know that. And I just want you all to know, because of the efforts that you all do, you're the reason why I took my bike out of the garage. I've only ridden it one time on bike, ride your bike to work week or something like that, or work day. But now you enlighten me. I really could ride it to Safeway and pick up 1 or 2 items instead of driving my vehicle. So I'm gonna experiment with that this week, so
Will you let me
Thank-
know how it goes?
I sure will.
Okay.
Thank you for that. Have a good one, everybody. Okay, that brings us to the next item on the agenda, under police. First reading of ordinance number 17-2024, and ordinance amending section 1-18 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Alamosa concerning criminalization of certain offenses to adjust the number of repeat offenses entailing jail as a sanction downward, amending section 11-100 concerning theft to align punishment with the corresponding state statute, and adding a new ordinance provision concerning burglary.
Thank you, Mayor. A few of you may remember way back when the ACLU did a hit job on the city of Alamosa entitled Justice Derailed, caused us to rethink some of what we were doing with our ordinances and the way that we enforce them. And in 2018, the city enacted ordinance number 1, 2018, which decriminalized most of the ordinances in the city of Alamosa, meaning a violation of that ordinance would not entail a jail sentence as a possible sanction. There were, I put it in the notes, it's 18 to 20 offenses that were deemed serious enough that they still carried jail as a possible sanction on a first offense. Some of those would be like reckless endangerment or assault, things like that, resisting arrest. But by and large, what that ordinance did was to say, aside from those handful, any violation of a city ordinance would not involve a potential jail sentence unless and until the same defendant had violated that same or a similar ordinance, for instance, shoplifting and trespassing, or theft and trespassing being considered similar ordinances. Unless and until there'd been 4 violations within the space of 2 years. And so that took jail off the table, resulting in a sanction structure that relied on fines and useful public service as a sanction for violating ordinances. And the way that Judge McDonald, your municipal judge, has been handling that is typically on a first offense for a non-jailable ordinance violation, such as, I'll use shoplifting because we get a lot of shoplifting cases in municipal court. Typically, a first violation involves a fine. A second violation and subsequent violations below the jailable threshold would involve both a fine and useful public service. Over the course of time, both Chief Dingfelder and before him, Chief Anderson, had talked to me and to the judge and to various parties about frustrations that line level officers were feeling with what they perceived as a lack of accountability on the part of defendants. Fines, to be frank, when you're dealing with indigent defendants, don't do much because they can't pay them. And so they don't pay them and they get sent to collections and you can't get blood out of a turnip. Useful public service may be a little bit more of a sanction, but council has been hearing this kind of feedback as well. And as you guys know, we discussed this a little bit at your retreat. It appears as if there's time for an adjustment. So what this ordinance does is a number of things. It proposes to change the standard for when repeated offenses become jailable from the current 4 and 2 years down to 2 and 1 year. It adds burglary as an offense and makes that jailable as a first offense. Now, what burglary is trespass coupled with an intent to commit a crime. So in practicality, what we often see is that someone will go and shoplift at a merchant. That merchant will then trespass them from the store and say, you've stolen from me, you are no longer welcome in this store. If they go back then again, after having been given that trespass notice, they are trespassing. If they go back again and it looks like, and they start to commit a shoplifting crime, that's the intent to commit a crime, then that's burglary. And so this also makes burglary then a municipal offense, number one, which it currently is not. And number two, makes it a jailable as a first offense. A third thing it does is categorizes thefts based on amounts. And it's interesting because the officers, of course, are used to writing up citations in the context of state citations, which categorizes theft based on how much value was taken. So it's theft under $300. Well, I'll see a theft charge citation come into municipal court for theft under $300. We don't have theft under $300. We have theft. Whether it's $1 or $1,000, it's theft. And what this ordinance does is categorize that in the same kind of category that the state has. So under $300, then 300 to, I think it's 750, and those various categories, we import that into the ordinances as well. Fourth thing it does is provides for the aggregation of multiple instances of a particular crime if they occur within the same 6-month period. You could aggregate those. So two $200 thefts occurring within 6 months would not be jailable under the proposal here. But if you aggregate them and now you got a $400 theft, that becomes jailable because the fifth thing this ordinance proposes to do is make theft of over $300 in value jailable upon a first offense. So what we're trying to do is increase, or not we, what this ordinance is trying to do is increase accountability through the municipal court system, particularly for shoplifting. But then, of course, it also changes that 4 and 2 to 2 and 1 standard that would be applicable to every kind of ordinance violation. For instance, failure to abate would be another one that we see a lot, failure to abate a nuisance, things like that. I would invite the chief up if he has anything he wants to add. If he doesn't, he can sit back there and remain in the peanut gallery.
Evening. I don't know that I really have much more to add, but I'm happy to take any questions on it. I will say that the burglary one, that's already in the state statute, as Eric described, and we would like to see that be available for us on the municipal code. And I think it'll be handy on these repeat ones that go back after they've been trespassed.
Okay, all right. So, any other comments, Mr. Sweezak,
I have
before I
nothing.
bring it back to council?
I have nothing further for you.
Okay, so I'll bring it to council who may have any comments. Anybody? See, oh, Councilor Young.
Mayor, I'm ready to make a motion.
Okay, if you're ready to make a motion.
I move that we approve ordinance number 2024 on first reading and set for a public hearing on August 21st at 7 PM or soon thereafter.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? I want to thank council and I also want to thank our legal counsel and staff for really taking this serious because we have been hearing from the community in regards to making sure that people are held accountable. And I think this ordinance goes a long ways in helping us to do that and to send the message that we want to send to repeat offenders that we will not tolerate these actions and they will have consequences. So thank you. We have a motion, second. No further discussions. Please start voting.
Counselor Dominguez,
Yes.
the motion carried unanimously.
Okay, thank you. That brings us to the next item on the agenda. Resolution number 9, 2024, a resolution to conduct the regular city election pursuant to the Uniform Election Code.
Council, this resolution is just allowing us to utilize Title I, which is the title that is used when we coordinate an election. Normally, we would use Title 31, but since we're coordinating, we need to use Title I.
Okay. Councilor Michael Carson.
I'll make a motion that we go ahead and approve resolution 9-2024.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? If not, please start voting.
Counselor Dominguez,
Yes.
Okay, thank you, council. We're moving on down the agenda here and we're item number 2B, first reading of ordinance number 16-2024, an ordinance approving an intergovernmental agreement with Alamosa County for conduct of the November 5th, 2024 coordinated election.
okay, council, this is just the standard IGA that we normally do when we coordinate an election. The IGA has been attached and we need to get this over back to the county by the 27th. So nothing has changed in the IGA.
Okay, Councilor Young.
I guess my only question is for Eric, when will the question be written for the ballot?
It's actually a good question for Holly because she probably knows that deadline better, but I think the deadline is early September for the ballot question.
Right. So the deadline's September 6th. So we'll be bringing it, I think, September 4th.
Okay, thank you.
Or August 21st, but probably.
If you're ready. I think we have it scheduled for the September 4th.
Okay,
And I have to get it back to him by the 6th.
thank you. So then I'll move that we approve on first reading ordinance number 16-2024, an ordinance approving an intergovernmental agreement with Alamosa County for conduct of the November election and set it for a public hearing on Wednesday, August 21st or soon thereafter.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? If not, please start voting.
Yes.
Counselor Dominguez? Thank you. The motion carried unanimously.
Thank you. Thank you, council. That brings us to the next item on the agenda under city manager legal. Second reading and public hearing of ordinance number 15-2024, an ordinance establishing a temporary moratorium on skill gaming, arcades, or skill gaming uses through June 30th, 2025.
Thank you, Mayor. We went through this to some degree on first reading at your last meeting, and you'll probably recall the news story that we played, which really did well in terms of defining what we're talking about here with skilled gaming. It's generally casino style games that can be used, and the argument of the businesses that put them in play is that these are not games of chance. This is not gambling. These are games of skill, but they sure look like gambling. And so they're called kind of gray casino. As we talked about on first reading, the State Gaming Commission does not really concern itself with anything other than gambling in the three cities that are approved for gambling in Colorado, Black Hawk, Central City, and whatever the other one is. I'm not a gamer. So it's kind of a Wild West gray area. We did hear rumblings of some skilled gaming looking to go in Alamosa, which is the basis for bringing this moratorium to you so that staff can work on developing an appropriate response regulations if that seems appropriate, or maybe a ban like Pueblo did, if that seems appropriate. But we need time to think about that before we might get one of these under our current code. And that's the purpose for the moratorium. This is a public hearing, so I can take questions, but then we need to have a public hearing.
Okay, thank you. So what we'll go ahead and do, and we'll go ahead and open up the public hearing for ordinance number 15-2024, an ordinance establishing a temporary moratorium on skill gaming arcades or skill gaming uses through June 30th, 2025. If we have anyone in the audience who would like to make any comments at this time pertaining to this ordinance, please come up to the mic and make your comments at this time.
So again, Richard Hubler, Land Use Administrator for Alamosa County. Alamosa County has also been approached by a potential developer of these games. We have a lot of the same concerns. We have this on the commissioner's agenda for discussion on potential moratorium on next Wednesday's meeting as well.
Okay, thank you. Do we have anyone else in the audience who would like to make any comments at this time before we bring it to the Zoom participants? No? So we'll go to Zoom. Ms. Martinez, if you can give them instructions how to raise their hands so we can recognize them.
Yes, sir. If you're on the Zoom app and you want to speak for this ordinance, you'll use the raise hand feature in the bottom of your screen. If you're on a telephone, you'll dial *9. Mayor, I don't see anyone choosing to raise their hand.
I don't see any hands raised either, Ms. Martinez, so we'll go ahead and close the public hearing, bring it back to council. Council Yanvihil.
Thank you, Mayor. I move that we approve on second reading an ordinance number 15-2024, an ordinance establishing a temporary moratorium on skilled gaming arcade in Alamosa.
I'll second.
We have a motion, a second. Any further discussions? If not, please start voting.
Counselor Dominguez?
Yes.
The motion carried unanimously.
Thank you. Thank you, council. That brings us to the next item on the agenda under Human Resources Risk Management, second reading and public hearing for ordinance number 12-2024, amending the established pay plan for city officers and employees.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This is the second reading for ordinance 12-2024. It's an ordinance amending the pay plan to restructure the organization of that division like we talked about last time. And we are here for any questions.
Okay, so what we'll do is we'll go ahead and open up the public hearing and then turn it back over to council for any questions or comments. So we'll go ahead and open up the public hearing for ordinance number 12-2024, amending the established pay plan for the city officers and employees. If we have anyone in the audience who would like to make any comments at this time, please feel free to come up to the podium and make your comments. Okay, I don't see anyone in the audience coming up to make any comments, so we'll turn it over to Zoom. Ms. Martinez, if you don't mind, giving them the instructions again.
Yes, sir. If you're on the Zoom app and you want to speak for this ordinance, you'll use the raise hand feature in the bottom of your screen. If you're on a telephone, you'll dial *9. Mayor, I don't see anyone raising their hand.
Okay, I don't see any hands raised either, so we'll go ahead and close the public hearing, and I'll bring it back to council for any comments that you may have. Councilor Yanvihil.
Mayor, I move that we approve on second reading ordinance number 12-2024.
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Okay, if not, please start voting.
Counselor Dominguez?
Yes.
The motion carried unanimously.
Thank you. Thank you, staff,
you.
and thank you, council. That brings us to the next item on the agenda, committee reports. Do we have any committee reports? Counselor Jackie B. Hill?
So we had the homeless coalition last night, and the hot topic was whether to keep Saint Benedict's or whether to get rid of it. I'm not gonna say exactly what was decided because they're gonna do their presentation next week. So it was a really good discussion, and there's a lot of pros, cons that were discussed, and so I'll just leave it at that. And the coalition can tell us about it next week.
I will say it was a 2-hour meeting and
Yes.
normally they just have an hour meeting. So they really did have a very good discussion, as Counselor Vihil pointed out.
Yes. There was just updates given on the Horizon Heights. The ribbon cutting, was held on Friday last week. And we got to tour the Horizon Heights. They're pretty cool, I think, and she also gave an update on Mobile Century where she discussed the shooting that happened and said that she was happy that there was police presence right away. And so she didn't want that to be like a negative mark on Mobile Century, but it is what it is. And then she did say that they had a school presence for registration. So they registered a lot of kids for Mobile Century. They did 15 library cards, so the library was pretty happy about that. And that's pretty much it.
Okay, that's it. Do we have any, thank you, Counselor Jackie V. Hill. Do we have any other committee reports? No? Okay, well, thank you for that. That brings us down to staff announcements.
Think I might be the only one. So I am just looking for a little bit of consensus from you guys on the liquor license authority. With legislation that passed this year, we no longer have to hold hearings, but it is up to you guys as the liquor license authority to still do them if you want to. The only thing that changed in the wording is public hearings may be held instead of shall be held. So I want guidance on whether you guys want to continue holding hearings or not.
You need that
For
now?
new licenses, for new liquor license applications.
You want guidance now on that?
Yes.
Let me ask you a question. If there's a finding, do you find those findings early on, or because I think that would be something that I would be concerned with, making sure that if there are certain findings ahead of time, maybe we will need a public hearing, but I'll let council comment.
Right. It's up to you guys on how you guys would, if you guys want to hold those hearings to still find them. Otherwise, I think it would fall on me, I think.
So, and to be
Yeah.
clear, because there's different things council does as it relates to liquor licenses. Is this for the provision of a new liquor license? Yeah.
Yes,
So
for a
this
new
isn't
one.
if that they're already up and operating and something's happened. This is for a new liquor license. Do you still want to play a role of having that hearing?
Where they're proving needs and desires.
Okay, we'll start down here and just go all the way down. Counselor Hensley?
So I guess my question would be, so if we didn't want to be part of it, and I'm not discounting you at all, but would you then probably just approve them all?
I would have to make sure they're proving needs and desires still in their application.
So I guess what I would say, I think I would want us still to be involved, and not saying you couldn't do this, but obviously we just had the one that happened across from Boys and Girls Club that had quite a bit of discussion. So I think I'd like, so I guess if that's what you're asking, so my sort of thought is I'd like to still be involved.
Thank you, Counselor Hensley.
Ditto.
Okay, Counselor Jackie V. Hill?
I agree. I think that we should still be involved, especially for new liquor licenses.
Okay, perfect.
Okay, Counselor Carson, yes. Counselor Krebs?
I agree. We don't get that many a year. It adds I'd like to see the people come up and meet them, really, for the neighborhoods and for the downtown. So yes, please.
And I
Thank you.
too, I think, these hearings mean a lot and it helps us to understand more about the business that's coming in as well as the business owners and their philosophies and things like that. So I'm in agreement with the rest of council.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
I think we figured that it was that simple, and that's
Mhm.
why we did it as a staff update. So I'm sorry, Counselor Krebs, did you still want to say something? Oh, Counselor
Oh,
Dominguez.
we forgot about Councilor Dominguez, sorry.
I echo the rest of the council. I agree.
Okay. Thank you. Apologize, Councilor Dominguez, for missing you.
And
No
then Mayor,
worries.
So I also wanted to go ahead and remind council that on Friday, the 16th, from 2:30 to 6:30, we do have the City Services Fair National Night Out here at Cole Park. And so I know staff puts a lot of work into that. So if you guys can show up and offer support, that would be great. And it's been mentioned, but I was really impressed with the turnout that we had for the Horizon Heights grand opening. There's a lot of diversity there, individuals from different parts of our community, from different partner agencies, and it was really exciting to see the interest. And, we knew 18 units. I mean, it's amazing. It's a huge project and it's a huge, it's not huge, it's a big step forward. But it's a drop in the bucket as it relates to the housing crisis. And so when you hear Dawn talk about they have all but 2 committed and already are processing for those 2 and have more applications than that, there still is a significant need. And when she talks about people crying, this is life-changing for some people. And then she talked about how all but 1 came referred from service partners and nonprofit providers and individual and organizations that are working with people who are struggling type of situation. And so it's exactly what we had hoped for. And obviously everyone will be watching it closely, but I have the utmost faith in SLV Housing Coalition and how they've structured this. And so I'm just excited to see it open and that the community was there to show their support.
Thank you, Ms. Sanchez. So that brings us to the last item on the agenda, council comments for tonight. Councilor Yountville.
Mine's real quick, Mayor. Just good luck and to all the teachers and the students who are going back to school tomorrow, the professors. Have a great and safe and happy school year.
Thank you, Councilor Yountville. Councilor Krebs.
Thank you, Mayor. Just echoing the city manager's enthusiasm about this project. I'm very excited to see it succeed. And also just to remind everyone that doesn't already know how busy this community gets during the summer, there's a big barbecue coming up at the end of the week that everyone's invited to. And this is a national barbecue competition that comes to our small town once a year. So please, if you have the time, walk through, enjoy.
Thank you, Councilor Krebs. Okay, I don't see any other mics on. Wait a minute, let me go to Councilor Dominguez. The hand's not raised, or did you have any comments before we wrap things up?
I just want to thank Parks and Rec for waiving their fee for the back to school bash. We pay that fee every year, and this year they showed us some appreciation for what we do and got our application turned around quick and waived the fee for the park. So that was nice of them.
Okay, thank you. So I'll just wrap things up. Want to thank Councilor Dominguez and his organization for the back to school bash and the backpacks for all of the kids that received those, and really appreciate that community effort. Also, welcome back to school to everybody in all the school districts here in the San Luis Valley, and hope everyone has a wonderful school year. Horizon Heights, once again, like Ms. Sanchez mentioned, that was a collaboration and a team effort of having so many people out there, as well as the staff really doing a great job. I know they don't like to be mentioned, but I'm just gonna say thank you to the entire staff for everything that you all did. And it really looks lovely out there. And I think you've created something that is going to be sustainable in our community. And we greatly appreciate all of you. And then the last thing is, I think that's it. All right. Well, thank you all. And this meeting is officially adjourned. Thank you. Thank you all.